Before we stood tall, what did the bones in our wrists say about how we moved? You know how we're always trying to figure out where we came from? This piece dives into one of those fascinating evolutionary puzzles. How did our ancestors move before we stood upright? Specifically, did they knuckle-walk like chimps or use flat palms? New research, looking at thousands of wrist bones, adds a fresh perspective to this long-running debate. It's a deep dive into the subtle clues our bones hold about the journey from our shared primate past to our bipedal present, making you think about every step we've taken. Written in Smithsonian Magazine, narrated for Arva.
Did human ancestors walk on their knuckles like today's chimpanzees? New research adds more evidence to the debate. After investigating thousands of wrist bones, scientists suspect the last common ancestor species of humans and chimpanzees may have navigated the world on its knuckles. Walking upright all the time is one of the unique features that sets Homo sapiens apart from other primates still around today. But before we stood up and started strolling, how did our ancestors move through the world? As they ambled around on all fours, did they navigate on their knuckles like bonobos, chimpanzees, and gorillas do? Or did they clamber about with flat palms like macaques and capuchins? New research published May 20th in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B seems to strengthen the case for knuckle-walking. But the study's co-authors caution their results are not conclusive, and until scientists find fossils of the common ancestor species we shared with non-human apes, we may never fully solve the mystery of our ancestors' gait. Roughly 8 to 6 million years ago, an unknown common ancestor species roamed around the planet. That species eventually split into hominins, such as Neanderthals, Denisovans, and H. sapiens, and non-human apes, such as chimpanzees and bonobos. Because the fossil record is scarce, researchers still haven't been able to determine the identity of that shared common ancestor species. As a result, they don't know how it behaved or what it might have looked like, but they'd like to find out. We became the human lineage, but understanding where we started from is what tells you how we got here. Lead author Laura Hunter, a paleoanthropologist at the University of Chicago, tells Science's Olivia Mowell. For the new study, scientists compared CT and 3D laser surface scans of 2,037 wrist bones from numerous extinct and living species, including Homo naledi, Homo floresiensis, gorillas, orangutans, and chimpanzees. Their investigation revealed that hominin wrists share similarities with African apes that may have evolved in response to the biomechanical demands of knuckle-walking. For example, two bones on the thumb side, the scaphoid and centrale, are fused together in both hominins and African apes, an adaptation that researchers think may have helped stabilize the joint during knuckle-walking.
Two other bones, the lunate and the triquetrum, also show striking similarities that suggest these bones have not changed appreciably since the two lineages shared a common ancestor, the researchers write in the paper. Put simply, carpal morphology inherited from an African ape-like, possibly knuckle-walking ancestor probably facilitated the evolution of the modern human wrist, the researchers write in the paper. Even though hominins essentially began walking upright, these shared wrist traits might have persisted because they gave hominins other advantages, such as the ability to manipulate objects like tools, the researchers hypothesize. Did you know? Changing the game? The discovery of an extinct primate species known as Ardipithecus ramidus in Ethiopia in the 1990s added new complexity to the debate over whether the last common ancestor species walked on its knuckles. The limbs of A. ramidus, which lived roughly 4.4 million years ago, seem to lack the adaptations associated with knuckle-walking and appear to be better suited for carefully climbing or scrambling with flat palms. The study is the most comprehensive analysis of the wrist that we've seen yet, Tracy Cavell, a paleoanthropologist at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, who was not involved with the research, tells Scientific American's Jackie Flynn Moggensen. However, Cavell points out that the paper has a few limitations. For one, it focused only on the wrist, which is just one of the many body parts involved in knuckle-walking. The findings also don't definitively prove that the common ancestor walked on its knuckles, as the similarities between hominin and African ape wrists might have evolved in response to some other type of movement, such as climbing. We won't ever know this answer until we find fossils from that time period, Cavell adds. Philip Reno, an anatomist at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, who was also not involved with the research, also notes that hominins and African apes may simply have similar wrist bones because they are closely related. Showing morphological similarity of humans with our closest relatives is kind of the null hypothesis you would expect, Reno tells Science. You need differences to really tease out whether there has been actual selection. Still, he adds, the study is impressive and brings up many interesting kinds of questions that relate to the mosaic of hominin evolution.